Hey there, everybody in the FFBE Global Facebook group, and hello to everybody who sees this video on YouTube as well. Welcome to this week's, actually it's last week's episode of askanoldmog. I got a little delayed and never got a chance to work on it last week, so I'm working on it today, and then I'm going to put out another one tomorrow or Sunday for this week, where we take a look at some questions from the Facebook group and try and answer them in a visual way to try and help people understand like mechanics and how things work in the game to try and learn to play the way they want to play, or maybe a little closer to the way I like to play. And hopefully that's effective and helpful for you because, yeah, I like to help people understand what they're doing. This is a complicated game sometimes. And so with that said, we've got a question from the Facebook group today that we're going to get into. And it has to do specifically with a trial that came out recently, but we're going to use that to kind of segue into using information that's available in the game to try and learn more about what you are doing at any given time. So the question was this. Hey guys, I need some help. I'm doing the Iron Giant on Advanced in the 12 types takedown. I can soak up his damage, it's just that I can't seem to damage him effectively. What does the non-elemental at 95% mean when it is effective? Thanks. So in case you're not sure what that is, Joshua C is asking about this trial here versus Human, the 12 types takedown, Iron Giant. The hardest difficulty one is level 460. It is not that difficult of a trial once you know what you're working with and what you're doing. But it can be a little tricky if you haven't figured out how to like stack everything together. Here's what I'm talking about. The Iron Giant, this information comes from the wiki, okay? So the Iron Giant resists all elements at 200%. And additionally, he resists non-elemental attacks at 95%. That means in order to do any kind of good damage to him, in fact, any kind of elemental damage to him, you need to stack some serious imperils on him. At minimum, you would have to have an imperil of more than 105% for an elemental attack. Otherwise, you're talking about doing non-elemental damage, which is 95% resistant to, and depending on what you're doing, that may or may not work very well for you. Probably not very well because this boss is a bulky boy. So to try and understand more about how to do that without the help of the wiki, I'm going to show you how to find this information in 3 different places. Number 1, the strategy Moogle. Number 2 is Libra or other types of scan skills. And number 3, the in-combat overlay. And that's going to help you figure out like, okay, what else can I do to this boss that's going to help me do some more damage? All right, so let's go ahead and load up this fight. And we'll take a look at all 3 of these things together. To find the 12 types takedown, you're going to go to the Vortex, and you're going to go to Nemesis, and here it is, 12 types takedown. And as you can see, there's just 12 different trials against every race in the game. And the one we're talking about specifically is the most recent one, the Iron Giant. The hardest difficulty is right here, Advanced, 460, like I said. And let's see what we got. We have to beat him within 30 turns. Doesn't seem too bad, right? Party of 5 or less, that could be a little tricky, and no items is usually not that big a deal. But let's see what the strategy Moogle says. So the strategy Moogle is right here, right at the top where it says strategy, right? And it's a Moogle. And this is source number 1 of all of our information. One is that it says he's a human, and depending on the trial that you're doing, sometimes it will also tell you what his weaknesses are. It tells us he's a human, and it says what he does. You want to make sure you have fire, ice, and wind resistance raised. That does not matter. And then you want to keep your silence resistance raised. But depending on your team, that really might not matter at all. But here you go. So we don't get a whole lot of information about what his weaknesses are, but we know he's a human. And so we know we probably want to bring somebody who can help us with doing damage to humans. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now we're going to we're actually not going to take a friend. And I'm just going to show, I've got like kind of a random smattering of units here. That we're going to take a look at some stuff in game with this fight. So I'm going to go ahead and equip Vaughn here with somebody who has Libra. Ramu has Libra, I believe. I'm going to go ahead and check Vaughn just to make sure. There we go, Libra. Yep, cool. So we're going to check out Libra now in the fight and learn more about this enemy. And again, this is all in-game stuff you can do. If you never knew you could do this, hopefully you're learning a lot. So we're going to start off here just by looking at the enemy with Libra. There we go. So, just like I said before, the wiki tells us that he's got 200 resistance to every element. So he's very, very weak to no elements at all. And he's got a resistances to all these different statuses. He's got all this HP, all this MP. Tells you what level he is. It tells you he's a human. So you can find out all this stuff in game. What it does not show you, right? It does not show you that he's 95% resistant to non-elemental attacks, which, you know, it might be a little misleading. You might think, oh, he's resistant to all these different things. I might want to use non-elemental damage. It's not a very good situation. But there you go. So we've learned a lot already about this boss just by Libering, and we can find out more what his resistances are. If you don't want to go to the wiki, you don't have to. Just Liber the boss. Okay. Now, Josh said that he knew how to survive the damage, so I'm not going to worry about surviving, doing any damage this first turn. I'm just going to guard everybody. And we're going to use Mazurka to kind of like cover the damage and deal with the stuff. That way we can go on to the next turn. I can show you the in-combat overlay. Okay. So some attacks are going to happen. We're not going to worry about that right this moment. Not a big deal. And then we're going to talk about this in-combat overlay. The in-combat overlay was added a couple patches ago. It's in the last year. It's pretty cool. And what it does is when we open up our unit skills, a little overlay is going to pop up like here, and it's going to show us like what types of stuff we have going on this enemy. So I'm going to open up Mazurka real quick, and you can see it right there. Now notice here you can see the non-elemental thing here. So he has 95% resistance to non-elemental attacks. You can see that right here. Also, as of right now, he's got a defense and spirit break on him from something that somebody did in the party. I think it was Vaughn did like an automatic preemptive break. And we've also got a Mazurka has a 25% human killer because I'm opening up Mazurka right now. So if I opened up like Ihana, notice she has no human killer, right? Vaughn has 300% human killer. He's already stacked up for humans. And Mazurka has 25%. So you can kind of see that there. But notice that tells us that if we were to use a non-elemental attack, he would resist it pretty well. It's not showing us anything about elemental imperils or anything like that right now. So what we want to do is we want to pick some elements, and we want to hit him with an imperil really, really hard to get that 200% down a little lower so we can try and do a little damage. Now, thankfully, Vaughn happens to have a really nice fire imperil that's available for him on turn 1, and we can hit him with a break. So we'll go ahead and hit the boss with a really nice break here from My Brother's Gone for an 88% defense and spirit break. Then we'll also hit him with oil here. Oil is going to give a 160% fire imperil. So, and then we'll just kind of hit something random like Mirage Plus, okay? So we'll go ahead and do that, and notice we are at 70% right now with a 95% non-elemental resistance. I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, but just stay with me here. So 70%, and then we're going to do this break, oil, and we'll go ahead and use Mirage. Now, we're going to use those, and we're going to open up somebody else, and we're going to see that the breaks are bigger, and there's a big fire imperil. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and open up Ihana. And notice now his fire resistance is down from 200% to 40%. He's only got 40% resistance now. Really, really cool. And notice the brakes are now upgraded to 88% instead of 70%. So we can see right here on this overlay how our fight is going to be going and how our damage is going to be going. Pretty cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and open that up with Fran as well, just to demonstrate. Fran has maxed out human killer at 300% from her gearing. So we're going to be using Fran as our baseline here. But again, 88%, and 40% fire. Just for kicks, we're going to use Tsukiko here, and we're going to use her Fire Imperil Field, right? So Purging Mandala Fire. There we go. And now I'm going to open up Fran again, and notice now our fire has stacked. Our Fire Imperil has stacked between her and Vaughn to get us down to 10%. Now he's only got 10% resistance to fire, so now fire's a really nice element to hit him with, and we can potentially do quite a bit of damage depending on what units we're bringing. Now, in our case, we're using Fran. This team is set up for something that I'm kind of working on as kind of a meme with Fran, yeah, at this point, she's kind of in the best position possible to do some damage until we add killers. Let's go ahead and use Ihana here. And we're going to use Human Rune on Fran. There we go. Now, Fran is at 550% damage against humans with only a 10% resistance, and he's got a big spirit and defense break. So now you can kind of see how what you really want to do is stack all this stuff up, and you can pay attention to what you have going on the in-combat overlay. If I did happen to Libra him again, okay, nothing changes here. We don't see any changes on the Libra. We still see that he's got 200% resistance to fire, even though we know for a fact that he's actually down 190%. So the Libra can be a little deceiving. This in-combat overlay is really, really cool. You know, you can see really easily what buffs and debuffs are on. As well, you could also just go, like, you know, click on the boss and scroll down and see that he's got all these breaks and stuff like that, but you don't actually get to see the numbers. The in-combat overlay is really where it's at, because it tells you like how effective is this unit that I have opened up right now, which is Mazurka. How effective are they going to be at targeting the boss right now, which is really pretty cool. So there you have it. You can see this information in a couple different places: the strategy Moogle, Libra, and my favorite, which is the in-combat overlay. We're going to go ahead and duck out of this and talk a little bit more about like how you can make this effective for you. Okay. The answer just really boils down to, on this particular trial, choosing ways that you can stack imperil fields, strong imperil skills, weapon imperils, and then on your side of the party, do things that help you out. Stat buffs, elemental amps that go with the imperil that you're using, and killer buffs. And that's really, you know, not that surprising. We've been talking about this a lot, but Iron Giant in particular is very, very resistant to all elements. So it's like, how do I deal damage? Well, you just got to pick units that are going to work together. And what's neat about talking about this right now is that this is really how Dark Visions kind of works too. And Dark Visions is going on as of yesterday. So, you know, you do the same thing in Dark Visions. I'm going to start stacking all this really nice stuff: imperil fields and the party-wide Dark Visions effect, and amplify fields and weapon imperils and amplify skills and buffs and breaks and killer buffs, and unload all that damage. It's kind of how you hit the target score. And so it's useful to think about it in terms of a trial. Iron Giant's a neat way to kind of try out like how much stuff can I stack together and do some really good damage, because he's pretty bulky and resistant to a lot of stuff. So I feel like Iron Giant's a good one to test things against. As an example, right, you could use a dark team if you wanted to, and you could use like Crowned Vlad to provide a 35% dark imperil field, and then you could use Warrior's Prayer Dark Fina to provide a dark amplify field and party amps to get you up to 75% dark amplify for the whole party. And then Golbez can do a 150% dark imperil, and between all of that, you get his 200% down to 15%. Which means you can pretty easily do really good dark damage. Or if you have Gilgamesh, for example, you could use his big 160% dark imperil skill and get even lower, from 150 down to 5, I believe, if I'm doing the math right, which should help you do really nice dark damage. And, you know, if you've got some really nice dark damage dealers like Sephiroth or, you know, upcoming theoretical DOCs, or if you have the new Melissa unit and she can make everybody a dark damage dealer with 100% dark amp, that's pretty cool. And you could theoretically do some really nice damage to the Iron Giant that way. So yeah, that's just an example. You could do that with anybody though. You could use what we just did with Tsukiko. You could use, you know, Tsukiko's fire field, Lena's fire field, Louise's fire field, a really nice imperil, and then some killer buffs, and then go to town. Or you could use Nicole's water imperil field and Ferris's water amplify field, and then, you know, whatever good water imperil you have, Lulu, right? There you go. Or you could use light with Tsukiko and Fina the Return, and the near units. There's just lots of ways you could try and stack these things together to just pick what works best for you, and that's pretty much true of Dark Visions as well. What is not recommended, though, is to simply go after him with non-elemental. So we said that he's got a 95% resistance to non-elemental attacks. And the reason that's not good is you cannot imperil non-elemental damage. You cannot amplify non-elemental damage, and you just can't support it in general. So I ask you, what's better, having plus 15% dark resistance or plus 95% non-elemental resistance? And you're trying to hit him with one of those. I'd rather hit the dark, right? You'd rather hit the dark too. I know that's true. You know, don't use non-elemental damage. It's silly. Use an element. This game is all about using elements, right? Use the elements, stack all your good stuff together, and go nuts. Take down the Iron Giant. He's really not that hard. If you've got Mazurka, or even, you know, I believe 7-star Ace can also just like make you completely immune to damage. So, you know, go nuts. Pick your best team. Take out the Iron Giant. Have some fun with it. And that's pretty much all I've got for right now. Like I said, I'm a week late on this one, but I'm gonna try and get out another one of these this weekend to try and answer some more questions and hopefully get back on a regular schedule. I've just had some kind of crazy things going on, and I've just been really busy. And yeah, that was a fun one to talk about and demonstrate, though. I hope it was helpful to kind of show in game how you can see all that. And Josh, I hope you can get your Iron Giant beaten pretty quickly. In the meantime, if you guys got a question you want to see for next week's video, feel free to drop a comment either here on YouTube or on the Facebook group, and I'm happy to answer those. You know, one thing that we have added in the Facebook group recently is the community chat, and I'm going to drop this video in the community chat as well. And you know, lots of fun question answer type stuff has been happening in the community chat too. So I've been real active there, doing a lot to try and address a lot of really quick questions. So feel free to pop over there and join the fun chat we've got going if you're part of the Facebook group. And that's all I got for right now. So until then, you guys be good to each other, take care, and yeah, no more Iron Giant. Go get him.